black cats, broken mirrors, garlic, 13 beans, and Friday the 13th. It's Superstition Day, good luck, bad luck, and beliefs in New Orleans and voodoo too. Come along.
Open the gates, Papa. Open the gates, Legba. I have offerings for the spirits, pennies and eggplants, and the plain and simple but important water. I have fire. I have earth. I have air. And the spirit elements that are there. Hi, it's Bloody Mary. Welcome to the Bloody Mary Show. It is Dinner with Ghosts, but this is a Friday the 13th edition. So this is about superstition. You know, some people call voodoo superstition. I think that's just a way to put it down. But that's what Louis Armstrong said when he said that he made brick dust, and he pounded brick dust and sold it to the people. That's how he made some money in Storyville, that and playing music. Brick dust, he said, you see, that was their superstition. But you would wash your floors with the brick dust. You'd put it on your front doorstep to bring in good business. So usually a superstition has something to do with good luck or bad luck, or religions in general. There's a lot of superstitions, though they don't like that word, that arouse in the belief system of my hometown here in New Orleans, and that would be Catholicism. So hi, I'm Bloody Mary. I'm Voodoo Queen, but it's also very Catholic. And so was Marie Laveau. We are sitting in the old homestead of Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau. We are sitting on the old back porch of the original cottage of Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau. The original foundation is below us. The land spirit is here with us. The spirits are all around. And in New Orleans, even the dead are foodies. Spirits love spirits, and we feed the dead. So one of my guests couldn't make it tonight. She's going to come tomorrow, I hope. And we have food. So this is going to be the offerings for the spirit. It's October, Friday the 13th. It's a very superstitious day. But why? It's really a good luck day to some countries. I got married on Friday the 13th. Oh, well, could have been worse. That was one of them. But anyway, Friday the 13th is very good to many Hispanic, Latin Catholic countries. And we are a Latin Catholic colony, a displaced European colony here in New Orleans. And our culture and our beliefs and our superstitions can stem from both Catholicism as well as voodoo and maybe a few Native American Indian things. And the African food stuffs were very important in New Orleans. Even our most famous dish with an African word, gumbo, magumbo. So it could be seafood gumbo, it could be herbal gumbo. It can be with a little bit of name that bone, name that bone, name that bone. Alligator gumbo. And they say Marie Laveau had some snake they chopped up and put in that gumbo. I think you put anything you could. And I'll talk about a specific one in a minute. However, gumbo has a lot of good things. We got sausage in there. We got shrimp in there. We got our friend the crab in there. We got all kinds of things in there. Got an alligator under your house. That is an omen of death. Someone is doomed in the house, will die very soon. But spiritually, the alligator's a transport spirit, so he'd help you give him. He's coming to give you a ride. Alligator, but alligator also goes really good in that gumbo, and so does our friend. You don't want to hear this. So does our friend, the black cat. Black cat gumbo was a thing. Marie Laveau would put snakes in her gumbo. They would put whatever they had, whatever they hunted, whatever they fished, but a snake would also go in there too. But maybe the black cat. There was lots of talk about black cat hoodoo. It was a hoodoo opening that people talked about. You might have to skin a black cat alive with your teeth. Challenging. Man, well, hoodoo and voodoo are two different things. Hoodoo is the practice, the potions, the powders, the dolls, the charms, the spells. It's been reclaimed as a word lately to be a religion, but voodoo is actually the one that is the religion, where you are serving the spirits. It's a dance religion and a musical religion. Hoodoo is the customs and the spells, and I guess if you need to say it, superstition. Now, we give food to the living and food to the dead, and we ring the bell to call the spirits. 'Tis the season. New Orleans' favorite, you see the gumbo. We got the gumbo. Everybody loves the gumbo. You can put almost anything you want in that gumbo. It is a stew, soup, with a roux base. You got to make a roux. That's the foundation while you're stirring and stirring and stirring the pot. Stirring and stirring and stirring the pot. That's when you can embed all your intentions. And make it a magical stew. And gumbo was an African word from okra, magumbo. It was very sacred to Leg by the Guardian of the Crossroads. They brought okra seeds over and beans. This is my cat's heart. We did not eat any black cat in my house. But the heart is the soul. That is a Catholic belief. So pluck it out. They pluck it out of the bishops. I got it out of my cat. I had a taxidermy. I also got a pearl out of it that the taxidermist gave me, just like an oyster has a pearl, a bezoar, as it is called sometimes in other animals. I carry her pearl for her wisdom and her knowledge and her protection and her love. So I do not make gumbo out of her, but they did, and I have a recipe, and I'm going to leave it out on the table. So when my food person gets here and I serve a gumbo, she'll think it's black cat, but it's not. It's not. But we have all sorts of goodies here on the table. Gumbo. It was a ritual food that was served always at the big rituals at St. John's Eve. You cook the entire time, and it takes a long time to make a gumbo. And by the end of the ritual, everybody would have something to eat, including the spirits. This bowl is for you, Marie. Yolali, Mademoiselle Marie. Light the way. We're going to put food on the altar. We're also going to give you a little bread. Bread on the altar. Never throw away ritual food. It goes back into the earth or into the waters. So put that gumbo on the altar. You know what else goes in gumbo? Rice. If you want to get rid of a bunch of demons, get rid of vampires, sprinkle seeds, sprinkle rice at your door. They have to count it. You know, there's a big thing with counting. Rice. Rice is very protective in the spirit world. It has a supernatural meaning or a superstition behind it. But anything supernatural will be a superstition. So there's a lot of belief about this stuff, bread, and maybe a little about this stuff, bread and wine, transubstantiation. But bread is a good offering for the. And this is Friday the 13th. We're going to tell you some more food superstitions and superstitions in general or beliefs.
It's time for the Bloody Mary Show. Remember to stay tuned to the end to watch Spell Time.
Hi, it's the Bloody Mary Show, and we are in New Orleans, and we are inside the old cottage of Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau. We're on where her back porch would have been, and you did a lot of things on your back porch, and still do, in this town, in New Orleans. And I am going to talk about superstitions, because this is our Friday the 13th show. Superstitions, and a little bit about voodoo and how it might have related to Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau, since she's the spirit in charge. And we have a special guest, an author and a food historian and a friend. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Laura Guccione. I'm a native New Orleanian, and I have a book coming out about St. Joseph's Day in New Orleans. There's a full history of that. I have another one coming out about Sicilians and agriculture and how their pursuits in the agricultural business helped shape what we now know today as Creole cuisine.
A lot of people don't even know how Sicilian New Orleans is.
Yeah.
We had the earliest and largest Irish immigration and the earliest and largest Sicilian immigration. At first, they butted heads, but everybody butted heads. Yeah. The Protestants and Catholics, they were at least all Catholic. That's why they came to this port town. And a similar weather and the magic and the mysticism, which is the swamp magic and the river. Because our river is the only true reason for us being here, whether it was the French who want to control the mouth of the Mississippi or the spiritual energy that the others seem to equate. And she still gives. River is underneath all of us now. Now, a lot of superstitions revolve around food. New Orleans are a bunch of foodies. The ghosts are a bunch of foodies too. So you would think that religion and superstition, some people think those are the same things, as long as it's got to do with the supernatural. It also has to do with good luck and bad luck and protection. So gumbo, give me the other gumbo, because this is a gumbo that everybody knows. Whoop, this be your regular gumbo.
Seafood gumbo.
Seafood, whoop. See, I'm spilling gumbo today. Is there a superstition about that? That's
well,
three gumbo
salt,
spills.
you would do the
I got the salt. We're going to put that over the shoulder. We're like that. Salt is the best. It's a superstition, but it works. It is the best cleansing and healing. However, we'll get to salt later. We're at gumbo right now. However, there's another type of gumbo that a lot of people don't know about. It's this one. It's all herbs, but of course they gotta throw some pork in there. So it's not vegan, but it could be. It could be. So we have gumbo. How do you say that? Zerbs. Gumbo zerbs.
Greens.
So,
it's like green gumbo with lots of greens in it.
Yeah.
Always an odd number.
That would be a superstition.
Yeah.
That's also a voodoo thing.
It's an everything thing. Like I know when I attended bar for many years, if you serve sambuca, how you put coffee beans in it, always an odd number. And there's a whole thing about odd numbers.
Well, because there's a lot of numerological aspects in it. The number 9, and then let's talk about our favorite number right now, number 13.
Which is a lucky number in
a lot of places.
For the Italians,
absolutely.
it's a lucky number.
Yes, and for most Hispanic areas, Latin Catholic areas, it was also a lucky number. But, we'll get it. There's too many things. So many superstitions. And a lot of them revolve around edible things. Of course, there is the top 3, I suppose. Top 1, broken mirrors. I got a broken mirror just for the occasion behind here. They say, I'll give the house bad luck, or the person who broke it bad luck for 7 years. But I have broken mirrors all over my haunted museum, which is just a block away.
Well, you know why?
I know why.
Yeah.
I don't think they know why.
Okay, well, let's tell them.
They were afraid of that mirrors were portals, and if they were broken, spirits would come back and forth freely. But hey, I have a haunted museum. I want the spirits to come back and forth, so I gotta leave them broken. I gotta break it out. I got them. But that's why people were afraid of that, because the tradition of stopping the clocks and covering the mirrors. That was, I think, also a Jewish tradition. They still do it in the Jewish religion.
Yeah.
But to prevent any loss of soul and etc. But anyway. So we got broken mirrors, and broken mirrors is a close runner-up to our dear friend, the black cat. Black cat's big superstition, and I love black cats. I've got one right now. I'm really mad at her, but I really love black cats, or cats in general.
Yeah, me too.
But I don't know if you know this. You might know this. Here, you first try that. Just take a little bite.
Okay.
It's a little bite.
I can smell it. It smells really good.
I do that.
My mama makes.
Yeah, they're always talking about what the secret ingredient is. I've read so many things. Everybody that's a cook says, it's all about the roux. You got to make the roux right. And I say, while you're stirring that pot, you could stir in a lot of intentions while you're stirring that pot. But I got a recipe for black cat gumbo. How was it?
It's great.
Just like Mom's?
Yeah. I know, it's weird. I was
really
talking to my mother yesterday about gumbo, and her seafood gumbo, she doesn't make a roux, but it's kind of like she does this thing where the roux, she puts the flour in later. She does cook the roux, but it's not like a long, but it's for the seafood gumbo. When you do the meat gumbo, it's usually like.
Some people do it 20 hours. They get really obsessed with the roux. But, some people just don't have that kind of time. But there was a black cat gumbo. But in the
not made with cats.
Yes, they're made with cats. No. Black cats. Yes, and you said it was good.
Oh my God.
Well, we don't do those things.
Tell me that.
No, we don't do those things. But there was a lot of black cat hoodoo going on in New Orleans, and it wasn't nice. Peter would not be proud of the things that I have dug up in old recipes and old spells and things like that. A hoodoo opening, to make you a hoodoo doctor, you had to skin a black cat alive with your teeth. Very difficult process, challenging, to see if you were worthy. And then you acquired the 9th bone of the black cat tail, and you could walk invisible. You had power all over the place. I have myself one right in here, but I did not skin it alive with my teeth. These days, many of us get roadkill magic going on, but I had some cats. I had my own cats that have died over the years that we dug them back up or had them cremated, and I got their bones. So there's another way, and I have not made the gumbo, but there was definitely. And Marie Laveau would chop up steak, throw it in the gumbo. They would throw whatever they cooked, whatever they found around at the time in the gumbo. Now we're more, specific on what we put the seafood, this kind of meat. Another thing that might end up in there in a sausage form or other would be with alligator. So there's a lot of.
I think I've had gumbo with alligator in it.
There's an alligator.
Sausage.
There's a lot of alligator superstitions too. Do you know any?
Actually.
We used to be hanging the alligators fell over the door for protection.
Oh, that makes sense. I've seen that.
Alligator, carry alligator bone. But the Cajuns would say if an alligator ended up under your house, that was impending doom. Someone was going to die.
I get that. I mean,
Probably
that
because
was
they got too close to the alligator.
that was kind of
obvious.
obvious.
But it wasn't that
If you have
way.
rattlesnakes in your bathroom, you're probably going to have trouble.
And spiders under your house are good luck because
Yeah.
they'd spin the webs, and that was for protection.
Yeah,
So never take away.
Never
Take away spider webs.
I'm
under
not
your
scared of
house.
snakes either, though. Let's
No, try the gumbo z's.
Okay.
Only I wonder what herbs they put in here. You'll tell me.
Mmm. All kinds of greens. That is good.
I wonder if it's got poke.
Could be.
Oh no, they got turnip greens.
Very good.
Very green.
Very green. Good for you. People say we
don't have a lot of healthy food here, but I got this one just to prove them wrong.
Yeah, that's right. We eat greens. We do eat a lot of greens. And cabbage.
Another cabbage. Well, cabbage has superstition, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would eat that on New Year's Day for money and wealth, and then you pin the outside leaf to your window.
And I've read a thing actually in the
For
WPA
money.
stuff where they used to, on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, they would cook the cabbage and put coins in between the cabbage, and then save the coins after, and reuse them. That's a wild one. I've never.
So this one's got the coins, but in the eggplant. Do you have anything you found out about eggplants?
I don't think so.
Except for the emojis that they're used for today. Well,
No,
that's not what the
I
color
know.
purple.
It's tough being a Sicilian, and you're like, oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. Eggplant's a
You
bad
can't
word.
use
I forgot.
Well, no, you just can't use the emoji because
So they were offerings to the dead because of the color purple being associated with the Gede and the
and this
ancestors.
is voodoo.
Yeah,
Voodoo,
voodoo traditions that are in
yeah.
New Orleans. It's down mainly from that, but a mixture of the Native American and that. So, and you put the pennies and the 3 pennies because the voodoos were called the 3 penny people, and copper was worth more than gold. And, so you would give the offering at the grave. You might go back and get your pennies. I don't know.
I have seen them on great, in the old days when. Yeah.
Still today, you will find them. Another big New Orleans thing, I guess around the world, but we're really big about beans in New Orleans. Beans and rice. Mondays, beans and rice. But do you know what else beans are good for? What is it? Do you have a superstition around red beans?
It's, well, of course, not red beans.
No?
No. Black-eyed peas, or in Italy, lentils. Well, I don't know. I might know it.
Put 13 beans in front of your door, and if you put them in a circle, that'd be even more confusing. And the loup-garou got to stop and count them, and then he gets all confused because he can only count to 12.
I have heard
so
that
13.
From an old. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think there's an old Cajun couple that told me that story, and that makes sense.
So we got 13, and you put them in a circle, then they're all. So 13 red beans. So beans can protect you. In a lot of voodoo, we use beans for cleansing, bathing, dry beans all over you to pull stuff off of you, and then go leaving them at a lonely crossroads or elsewhere after, like you use like bean baths. 7 beans, multiple beans all over you, bless them and stuff first. And then, of course, we eat them.
On Mondays. So that could be kind of a thing. Like New Orleans.
I have some black-eyed peas.
Eat black-eyed peas and cabbage. And black-eyed peas, they're both money-oriented, like you just said about the cabbage. Cabbage is like green and it looks like money. These look like coins, both money-oriented. In Sicily, on New Year's Day, you eat lentils, which makes sense. It's the same. And the lentil is...
There's always some kind of bean involved. So black-eyed peas is known as congri in voodoo. It's a special dish, and then you go and feed it out to the river with your note of intention, what you need, and you make sure you put a lot of sugar in those beans. That's part of the recipe. You want to sweeten that up in your life, and then you toss it into the actual river in the center. That was called a flying novena. Now, I would wrap it up in cabbage leaves as opposed to maybe putting it in the old bottle in the sea now just for cleanliness reasons and biodegradable reasons, but toss them out. And, it's a spell. And, of course, you got to give a dish to the spirits, and you're giving it to the river. This is there's a lot of stuff about bay leaves.
Bay leaves were big. And bay leaves, it's weird because they're big
poison. A lot of people thought. But we've always
they
had.
kind of smell like they probably are some kind of toxin. I mean, you can't eat a whole thing of bay leaves, but we use it for seasoning in Creole cooking.
You must leave the whole damn leaf in the gumbo, because I used to go, why is there a leaf?
And then it's funny. A lot of people in my family, we never took out the bay leaf. So red beans, gumbo, whatever, lentils, whatever we made, And
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
see.
people would be like, you don't take this out? And I'm like, no, because whoever gets it, it's like you had a wish. Which I don't know.
And but that's Native American. No, you write your wish on a bay leaf and burn it.
To get it.
No, now, today, and that was done through Native American local swamp, I call it swamp magic times. So, absolutely, bay leaf was to write your wish on it.
What if they choke on it? I'm like, well, we know it's in there.
Yeah. It's like,
this is like at our home growing up. But yeah, bay leaves. And bay leaves are really big they're big in Sicilian food, but also in Creole culture, and they grow it. They would, in the Catholic Church, they would bring bay leaves. And then there's a funny story. This is like old school. This is, I think a lot of this stuff is from, this is like 1930s, so it's people with
the bay leaves. Okay.
Yeah, and then they always had bay leaves in their kitchen, the Creoles of New Orleans. And a lot of times these were blessed bay leaves. And then people recalled that if they ran out of bay leaves, they would use the blessed bay leaves in their food without thinking twice.
Oh, I absolutely would use. I use all of the stuff from the St. Joseph altar for my rituals all year long. I use the olive oil that I put up there to make all of my potions. The bread. Oh yeah, this is the bread. You know the bread thing, right?
Yeah. Which bread thing? There's
with the storm. Yeah. You save the biggest one. You save the bread from your altar, crumb it. I have it in my freezer.
I have little pieces by my back door. In a little
supposed to protect you from storms if it comes your way. Toss it in the winds, so I do that as well as knives. That was a Sicilian strega thing, or a magical thing in general, that you throw the knives into the four corners, cutting the winds. And I use the knife I have of the Marie Laveau, that was Marie Laveau's knife, that I have in collection at the museum. It's getting kind of rickety because it's prevented us from a lot of hurricanes, and it was really bad. I did that, and I found there was a bad knife. It wasn't her knife. I didn't have it yet. That someone broke into my car and left this big ass knife on the street. And I was like, I'm going to use that to cut the damn winds. It was big, scary. So I did to cut the winds, and it was a weird looking knife. It wasn't mine. And then I packed up my car and I got on the way, and we made it to Natchez, I think. And I walked right to the river because it hadn't hit yet. And I was going to go talk to the river and pray. And I looked down on my feet, and that was the exact knife that floated back to me. So I knew it wasn't going to work that time.
Oof. And then the whole thing about not giving, you never give anything sharp as a gift.
Right, yeah.
Which is funny because I was thinking about that the first person
Cuts the friendship.
my ex-boyfriend ever gave me was a knife sharpener and 3 knives.
That was triple trouble.
I know, I was like, I should have known.
There's a lot of European superstitions that came in here.
But I mean,
some are good luck, some are bad luck, some are food. I mean, there's all sorts. But
as far as the food stuff goes, I mean, this is ancient. Like, you can, any place you go, ancient man, woman, they gave offerings, religious offerings, food. So, I mean, whether it be
animals, I would say the dead are hungry. Yeah, whether it was the days of slaughter and sacrifice, or it was socialization. It was sharing with the family members that had passed on. It was for the spirits. Absolutely.
You need food for nourishment.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, this is a universal thing.
Beans. Beans are so funny as you look back. Now, the fava bean, which I have a big one here. Big one. This is Jack's bean. This is the Jack and the beanstalk bean. This is the most magical bean, and it's so associated with the St. Joseph Day altars. What you got to say about the fava?
About the fava bean. Okay, so St. Joseph's altars originated in Sicily and came to New Orleans. In Sicily, it's not the hugest celebration, but when it got here, well, this is what my book is about, that there was already a holiday being celebrated. St. Joseph's Day, we mislabeled a Mid-Lent celebration, which was the one day in the middle of Lent that you could
cheat.
Yeah. Dress up.
Have a little
and it was
sweeter, fancier things. Yeah.
People wore costumes. No one knows this. It's insane. You really have to dig for it because it's just been forgotten. But that's why the Indians still do it on that. I was wondering why who have continued
the Mardi Gras Indians. No, it's not Mardi Gras indigenous peoples. It's Mardi Gras Indians. That's the actual name of the Black Indian tribes, which we talked about a little bit when Cinnamon was with us, and you can look at that episode to see her picture. So she's a queen in Mardi Gras Indians. But anyway, I digress because those holidays merge. The St. Joseph Italian with the Black Native American, Black Indian Day is St. Joseph's Day, one of the days. Not that there's several.
But traditionally, it was only Mardi Gras and St. Joseph's Day. That is traditionally the days that they came
2
out.
days that they came out.
That they came out.
Not the only days that costumed, but yes.
Well,
okay.
traditionally,
so
costumes,
yeah.
we didn't do.
And stop
we didn't
at
do Halloween.
Stop it.
Halloween's English and I mean Irish.
Well, Celtic, yeah, but we did because we had a lot of early Irish.
Yeah. But it wasn't until later.
And then we adopted.
The Creoles celebrated All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day.
Yes, and we decorated the tombs.
And that's why we have pumpkins, is because the Irish came to the United States.
Well, the pumpkins had nothing to do with the Irish.
No, they used to do turnips.
Yes. Yeah, they used to do turnips, but this was more available. Yeah.
And
they swapped.
And it's cooler. They're big.
I don't know. I've seen some pretty scary, creepy looking turnips. But you got to get them really big to get.
But these were, and
they started breeding.
They started breeding them to be big, so you could cut them.
The jack-o'-lantern cut out with a candle was to ward off vampires and evil spirits in your house. You put it on the front. Did you know
the Jack story?
I knew a couple of them, but which one?
Yeah, it's an Irish story that there was a guy named Jack. He did something wrong, and for some reason he couldn't go to heaven, and I don't think he'd go to hell either for some weird reason. So he's wandering around. He's wandering around. So you did this to scare off Jack.
Just one guy?
Yeah.
Wow, that's. Well, then I heard one was the jack-o'-lantern, and then it was vampires and vampiric energies. Just like the Chinese have a mid-July day, which is like their spirit day, and they feed the hungry ghost by putting it outside, so they'll go past and get what they need and keep going and not bother them. Again, food, you know.
So the fava bean is the reason why it's so important on St. Joseph's Day altars. Is like they're called lucky beans in New Orleans, and most people, if you go to the grocery store and somebody's taking money out of their wallet, you will notice one of these, no matter whether they're Sicilian or not.
Right.
So you get, these are blessed on the St. Joseph's Day altars, and the story goes, and this is why they build altars, is because Sicily was in a great famine and the people were starving. So they prayed to St. Joseph. They chose St. Joseph, I believe, because he is the patron saint of Sicily. Not Italy, but Sicily. And they prayed to him, and then guess what grew? The fava bean, which was originally animal fodder.
Oh, okay.
People didn't eat the...
But it was also Jack's magic bean.
Yeah, it grew. It grew, and this is the nourishment that saved the people of the island of Sicily.
I read a ridiculous thing the other day when I was trying to look something up about magic beans. And it said, any bean can be a magic bean if you take it and then you go replant it in your garden. A garden that is fertilized, I think, with unicorn manure. Okay. And then it's watered with mare tears. Now we have the mare tears because of the river with it. The unicorn manure is a little harder. I was like, okay, that's it. But
yeah, they would be magic. You would be magic if you could find them.
Now lupinis were supposed to be hallucinogenic, and people would take that before they go to the Necronomicon, before they would do oracular kind of things. I bought some lupinis. It didn't work. No. But what was fascinating as I dug more into it, beans, according to many people, were thought to have souls. And that's why you couldn't eat those. They were alive and they had souls. And so if you ate certain beans, it was taboo at a lot of places, but it was to do this oracular thing. And there was actually, you'd have to lie down or lean back and get down. There were psychic readings through the gurgling in your stomach after the beans because of the gas they produced. They thought they were alive, and they could actually
they were talking.
They could actually listen and decipher words. So they're monstrous in a way. The beans. So there's so many things that people now. Coffee beans and coffee in general, you would burn them for smoke like a smudge to cleanse your house and every window and every door. And we had the first coffee stand in the country here in New Orleans. So coffee was a big thing. Tea was really expensive.
Always big. Well, because the French market was a lot of coffee stalls.
Yeah. And there was
people just go and I always said that New Orleans, the Creoles drank.
They had, and then later they added the chicory, which I don't think was a good thing. But chicory's probably in the stamps too. Yes. The greens in there. And poke salad, Annie, the poke root, even though it can kill you if it's cooked the right amount of time, it's really good. So there's a whole lot of greens in there, but how did it have to be 9 or just uneven?
Just an uneven number. So it could be 7, could be 9. And it's funny because I talked to Leah Chase about it, Chef Leah Chase, and she said, "Oh yeah, always has to be an odd number."
But she was the one that said to pin the cabbage to your window to bring money into the house. And that was like her mama taught her that. And she was a very famous New Orleans chef,
Yes.
female before it was popular to be a female chef, right? Oh, and there's this. I know there's controversy about the lemon.
Yes.
But
and the altar,
if you steal a lemon off of an altar, but
and
you
don't
can't
get
get caught,
yeah.
you get married or fall in love that year.
Yeah.
Now I keep one. See, this was really dried and disgusting. See, disgusting.
But the controversy, I just have to get in here from some of the Sicilian folks I know who have an issue with it because they said it kind of like
makes them look like these. But,
yeah, because Sicilians are known for
I use my stolen lemon in my love grease. I take some of the skin and put off because lemon is known for that. So
they should just change it to like take a lemon. And then that would take
but
care
then
of
it's not
like,
fun. It's not fun.
Stealing anything. It's just they're being offered. So I don't know.
Oh, we forgot about the most basic, almost there in every ritual and every altar is water. But there's a belief that if you have the water on the altar and there's bubbles, bubbling water. If it bubbles on its own, or there's bubbles that come up in it, there's demons around it. So that's like
okay.
I have no demons. It's a warning. So you always put water on an altar because water is how spirits come through. Water is, life making, and it'll let you know something bad's about ready to erupt. So you can look food divinations. Oh, we got the coconut. We get coconut we put behind the door. That's for protection. It's very much also Papa Legba. And it may be or may not be why the Zulu parade throws the coconuts.
Yeah.
Do you know more about coconuts, food info?
No, I really don't. Coconuts are kind of...
Well, coconuts are very... Well, this, especially in the Congo in certain areas, are very sacred to a lot of people.
I do a divination with 4 pieces of coconut called chamalangas. It's a Congo divination.
They're protective at the door. So they roll. And you could use coconuts to roll through an area to cleanse it of everything. But the most important thing, of course, is salt. Now,
everybody needs salt. Animals need salt.
And it's for humans. Not for humans, for mammals.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the dead can't handle it. That's why you do salt baths. That's why you have salt bottled water underneath the bed. That's why you put salt in a path and walk over it, or in the underneath of someone's shoes so they don't walk into trouble.
And you don't waste it. If you spill it, you better.
Yeah, well, that makes the ritual. So that's a protection to throw it over your shoulder. But
to ensure too that.
And the Catholics also bless the salt.
Yes,
they used to. I don't think they do anymore.
I still have a blessed salt from St. Joseph's altar I did before Katrina that Father Leduc blessed, who was at St. Augustine before Katrina.
We have so many things we do with food. And yes, everything went together. So my mama was a St. Joseph nun before she married my dad. So I was dragged to St. Joseph since I was a baby. Literally dragged to them because of that. So you had the St. Joseph, you had the Sicilian and the Catholic, and those altars have a lot of strega witchcraft mixed in, and I guess so does Catholicism in its own way from the old days. The whole idea of turning the statue upside down, and Marie Laveau found evidence of people that reported that she had a large statue of St. Joseph, which was a little ahead of her time since more Sicilians came later in the century. He's the worker saint, he's the carpenter saint, he's the father, So St. Joseph was big here even before the Sicilians, but the altars went crazy as you feed. And turn him upside down, not just him, any saint. Mm-hmm. And until they
to sell a house.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So you can place him upside down and you bury him in your yard if you want to sell your house.
You could throw some fava beans down there first. I add that in there. And it works. I've told real estate people that in other states and they thought it was hysterical, but it works.
You can get online and buy a little kit.
Yeah, I have little kits I used to sell at my museum shop. Not too many people got it, but it's like, this is what you do, it's what we did here. So St. Joseph was someone, this Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau was a devout Catholic as well as Voodoo Queen. with her African traditions and her families, and she was mixed blood. Now, you said you have well, not a descendancy, but a relationship in the familiar relationship, a collateral relationship through
My mother,
her husband's brother.
See, my mother.
Right?
So my father was 100% Sicilian, but my mother, her family is old Creole family. And I was reading a book about Marie Laveau, and I saw a name, and I said, I've never really done my genealogy, but that name sounded familiar. It was Trudeau.
Oh, yeah, you didn't know the Trudeau name?
I mean, I probably did when I was younger.
Charles Trudeau Laveau.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was her grandfather or her father.
Her grandfather. Yeah, depending on
both.
which.
Both her father and her grandfather. Right. Yeah.
It depends on your
Charles Laveau, and then.
Yeah, so I looked at my tree, and it looks like my third great aunt. It's still pretty. It's pretty like close. Married her great grandfather. Well, great grandfather or great grandfather, depending on.
The big Trudeau Laveau, that was the one that over there was probably the one that had the affair with Marie Marguerite Trudeau Laveau. That was her. Yeah. So that would have been her paternal grandmother.
Grandfather.
Would be her paternal, possibly her paternal grandfather. Yes. So.
I mean, it's pretty.
I mean, it's not like big out of her blood, so that's called collateral relationship. Like it's still family. Mm-hmm. Would you pass me that plate?
It would probably be like,
because you said you found out stuff like this.
Yes.
Now, this is one of the key ingredients in what we call the Holy Trinity.
That's right.
Except there's really 4 things in the Trinity because they add garlic in there.
Sometimes,
too. So
sometimes
that's so what is this?
This is celery, and it's weird. Celery really did not get. So celery started off as a luxury item, believe it or not. This was like the caviar of its day. If you look up online, there are celery vases. They're like crystal cut vases for celery, and if you look at old menus, it'd be like, oh, all the like fancy stuff, celery. So celery at one point was a lot different from what we know today. But also but before that, celery was associated with the dead in ancient Greek and Roman times.
And any particular reason you found why?
I think because before it went into cultivation, it was a very dark and a lot more bitter. Like people didn't eat it.
Is it?
No.
Okay.
But it was bitter. So
the dead get bitter things?
And it was dark. Who knows why, like originally, but it was affiliated with funerary rites and funerals, so no one ate it. I'm
not afraid. There's so many things around cemeteries and funerals, and so many superstitions. Oh yeah. We got to cross ourselves when we pass. We got some people hold their breath. I mean,
but so celery. There was these ancient games for Neptune or Poseidon, and whoever would win would have a wreath rather than like the victor of most things would have laurel leaves, a wreath of celery leaves. And there's a saying, I don't speak Greek, so I'm not going to try to pronounce it, that means to need celery, and that means someone has recently died.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
get the celery over there, the alligator underneath your house.
Yeah, so this is what is now like a health food, celery juice, all that stuff. Yes, it was first affiliated with death and not health.
Very interesting on celery.
Change over time.
Well, there's lots of taboos around eating certain things, and there's lots of things that are good luck and lots of things that are bad luck. And we found a lot of things that are, protective as well. Oh, this has got nothing to do with eating, but it's all over New Orleans, Spanish moss. I made it into almost a little cartoon, a little doll. I'm not done with it yet. But it was thought to protect you. Probably why they insulated the homes with it in New Orleans. Plus it worked.
Mattresses were made with it.
Mattresses were made with it. I can gross you out. Early menstrual pads were made of it.
But
baby diapers.
But I think they have some kind of antiseptic properties, I feel like.
I don't remember hearing that, but it will never die. It will not have bugs like some.
That's what I mean. So that probably is.
But it would be very absorbing. They would put a cloth in between. It was just, and that would be the bedding for the baby, the baby diaper, the other internal hair never dies. When the gray part goes away, you have what was nicknamed horsehair, but that was what we make our dolls out of because it was also the nest for the birds, which bring new life. So there's a lot of things around Spanish moss. One of the few things I don't have any recipes for, and I don't want any.
No.
It would not be good. So we got all kind of stuff here, bones and beans, and oh, this is my black cat's heart. You know, the Catholics used to say the heart is the soul, so they pluck it out and bury him under altars. When my cat died, I got her heart because I love her. My black cat. What else we got? What else? Oh yeah. Now, as far as voodoo is concerned, I do not agree with this. I think it is just a way to put people down. But Louis Armstrong, well, I guess dabbled in a little bit of hoodoo or voodoo. Louis Armstrong used to pound brick dust and sell it on the street corner. So we got some brick dust, and we mix it in with your mop water. You scrub down your front porch. You bring in good luck. You bring in good business.
I think there was like a lady who walked around, Zozo
Labrie, yeah. But he did it too. I mean, he pounded the brick dust and he would sell it. And he said, well, that was their superstition. Now, so they said that New Orleans voodoo was called superstition. I said, no, I think that was just what people would just dismiss it by saying, oh, you know, that's superstition. But the supernatural beliefs behind any religion, by some definitions of the word superstition, are superstition because it's supernatural. And it's a belief and a faith in something that you cannot concretely,
people don't understand
find.
it, so they just.
But that is the base of all religion. But I still don't like the word superstition. I mean, depending on how it's used, is it telling you that your beliefs are inadequate, that they're incorrect, that you are less than modern,
or they're strange,
that you're backwards, But we have all kinds of superstitions, all kinds of beliefs, some taboos in New Orleans. Is there anyone that we're missing?
I'm sure we are. And
what you can eat, what you can't eat. Let me think.
Well, I mean, a big one is Lent. You can't eat meat during Lent. And there's a lot of
that's a sacrifice thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of food related, like you said, food that you can't eat on.
Some taboos, taboo food, yeah. And they have a reason somewhere back in history of why this one shouldn't be eaten and why this one is. But
for certain things eaten with other things, like there's a lot of the dairy with seafood.
Oh, I don't know those.
Yeah, there's like
looking around the kitchen. There's a lot of things in your kitchen which are used spices in voodoo and hoodoo and have superstitions around them. Salt is probably the biggest one that people know about. Oh, but our friend, I don't have any here.
What is
mustard seed?
Oh,
mustard seed is. Do you know what mustard seed is?
Maybe. Well, go ahead. What?
Eye of newt. Mustard seed is eye of newt.
That makes sense.
And you would take mustard seed or a lot of small seeds. And where's my get that bowl over there. I can't forget rice. You can sprinkle lots of things because these demons are always compelled to count. Monstrous demons, put them in front of by your bed. They have to stop and count every one. Also, the sieve or the colander in the kitchen, they have to go through all the holes. So these things are for protection against dark forces that are out there. And our favorite, what's in that little box over there? On its own, or in our trinity, of course, our dear friend, the garlic, to ward off. Now, we had the highest mortality rate in North America for 2 centuries with plagues of yellow fever and cholera and triple the infant mortality. No one knew was causing the death. So we might have had more than our share of what you call superstitions that we use in order to protect. But these people didn't know what was causing the disease. And I always said this. It's like, it's one's beliefs that make them make their decisions. And those decisions become history. It matters not that in the future it's found that those things were, invalid. The history has already been made. And I said this for years ago. And it won't be too long into the future that many people will look back and mock what we believe and call them superstitions.
True.
And then came COVID. Look at all the stupid things that we were told to do or thought when a disease comes out and your mind goes rampant and things like that. And that was going on here for more than a century with all the piles of bodies, dead people. Oh, and the confusions about the dead and coming back from the dead. And they did believe in vampires. And again, our dear friend, the Catholic Church, jumped in on it. They redefined the vampire at the end of the 1700s as a demon-possessed corpse. Get out your rice, get out your celery, get out all of the mustard seeds, whatever you can. So you had people like Marie Laveau coming in and blessing your house with the Catholic priest right on her tail. Gree in one pocket. rosary beads in the other. You had to cover all bases because nobody knew why, and we still don't know a lot of that big word why. But I believe in supernatural and spirit things. I believe that God made everything to have more than one purpose with spirits in it, whether it's your herbs, whether it's your garlic, whether it's your black cat gumbo, whatever it may be.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do
No,
it.
as I said, we're much different
That's the
today.
one yeah.
You know, there are other cultures that still do it, I guess. Cats, dogs, you know.
Yeah.
Big with horses, eating horses in Sicily.
I know they do.
And, you know,
They still do.
still do. Oh, it's a delicacy. It's rolled beautifully on a little table, you know. And what is it? Some people eat the live chimp brains. Yeah, we don't have to go there. I don't know if there's any superstition around that, but there should be.
There should be.
There should be.
There is.
So New Orleans is a foodie town. Our spirits are still foodies. I'm going to give them some of this gumbo. I'm going to give some of the food there and the water, and I'm going to make myself a jack-o'-lantern, steal myself a lemon, and make us some gree-grees, and I'm saving that breadcrumbs for more storms that dare not come our way. So good luck or bad luck, but always protect. Bye.
Thank you.
Break time, spell time. You know, the big one is our friend Spanish moss all over New Orleans. The more you had it hanging in front of your house, the more it would take the hit for you. So it was for protection. I make all of my voodoo dolls out of this, as did Marie Laveau. Everybody worked with Spanish moss. It was known as horsehair when it dried out, and you could put things in it. It's like a nest as it wakes up and holds your wishes and dances to you. Yeah, put things in it. Yeah, sure. Put some beans, put some bones, put some animal, put some vegetable, put some mineral. Make yourself a little pet is one word of it. Poupée. There are many words for dolls, and here was called a caten, and it's a French effigy. Blow in your wishes. Keep care of your hair. Don't let anybody else get it. It goes wild and crazy if the birds get it and twirl it around out there. I am a cultural historian and a food voodoo historian. 3 pennies are for Legba. 3 pennies are for the spirits on the other side. 3 pennies. Copper was worth more than gold on the Gold Coast of Africa, where many of our slaves came from. So then many of them were named the 3 penny people. Mix the money with the food, give it as an offering, and you'd be safe. And you carry your beans, and of course you can go get your garlic. Do you know that the main ingredient in many of our foods, including gumbo, is called Trinity, and it's garlic, and it's onions, and it is celery too. There's a few other things that you put in there, but the Holy Trinity. But the garlic, that's world-renowned. It's got allicin in it. It thins the blood out. It makes it very distasteful, like curdled milk to vampires. So, eat your garlic. It's very, very good for you. So there's lots of things that you can do. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank Laura Guccione, and read her books. This is how you'll get in touch with her. Remember to visit us in New Orleans at the Haunted Museum or BloodyMaryNewOrleans.com. Your new books will be under your name, and they'll be available through
LSU Press, and it just I'm waiting for them to be peer reviewed.
And do you have Instagram and Facebook and things like that you want to tell them?
Instagram, Laura Guccione. That is spelled like Gucci 1, Laura Guccione 13, and that's find me there.
Again, she's got number 13, like it's for Friday the 13th.
My number's 1313 too.